Well, looks like it's that time again for me to give you all an update video on what I have in store for the channel for this year and everything else in between. Before we do actually get started though, I will say that I am sort of still recovering from a bug that I picked up during the holidays. And it's all the cough drops over here. But I'll try my best to edit around that as best as I can. Anyway, let's stop wasting time and actually get into the video. Now, I actually wanted 2022 to be the year for the channel, but that obviously didn't pan out as well as I would have liked. There were just a lot of things going on in personal life, family matters, and all these other things that I'm not going to get into. It just was not a good year for me, like at all, just in general. I felt like my mental health and everything was just at its worst last year, but I'm definitely going to try my best to be better about all of these sorts of things this year. But there were still a handful of good things that did happen last year. Chapter 1 DX was finally finished. I returned to streaming on YouTube. And Tales of Nightmare, one of my most popular videos from back when I first started YouTube, celebrated its 10th anniversary. But still, there were a lot of rough patches last year, and I'm hoping that this year is a lot better in that regard. With that all out of the way, why don't we get into the real meat of the video where I tell you what is in store for this channel in terms of content, everything else in between. To start off, I just wanted to say that I will be returning to Cartoonapalooza this year. So if you're at all interested, there's probably some basic information on the screen right now, but I will be making a much more dedicated video at a later date, going over the finer details and all that other good stuff. I figured that I mentioned this all right now because I understand that when I announced it last year, it was very last minute. With that out of the way, let's talk about the roadmap for the channel as well as some particular changes that I've made. So for those that are unaware, I started a Patreon last year as a means to both financially support myself and the channel. But since that initial launch, I have made changes to the tiers. You can check out those changes yourself in the description below, but let's briefly go over them. Supporting the first tier will now gain you access to our private Discord server when that was originally part of the second tier. Once again, you'll be able to participate in community days, be able to directly interact with myself and my friends, and just become a part of this ever-growing community. The second tier is what the third tier was originally. Now when you support the second tier, you will gain early access to any new video or animation that I create 3 days before it goes public. As for the last tier, that's where things get even more interesting. By supporting the third tier now, you will gain exclusive access to bonus content such as director's commentaries, previews for the next animation or video, such as the first scenes in the next chapter for the life of an Inkling, or incomplete work in progress of videos or animations. So if all that sounded interesting and you want to help financially support myself and the channel, link to the Patreon is down in the description below, or I might even put it in the card up top. However, if you don't want to have to deal with Patreon, there is an alternative way to support me. Another means of financially supporting me is via Ko-Fi. It's intended to be more of a tip jar, but still, any sort of help is greatly appreciated. Though there is another reason why I'm bringing this up. During the whole production process of Chapter 2, we managed to meet our first donation threshold on Ko-Fi thanks to a very generous donator named Hannah Banana. I cannot stress enough how much that meant to me, so thank you once again for your very generous donation. It truly means a lot. With this now in mind, we can now finally do what I wanted to do with Life of an Inkling moving forward. We now have the ability to hire voice actors, so you can expect a future video covering the auditions and all of that stuff at a later date. But if we want things like that to keep happening and more, I highly stress to both support the Patreon and or the Ko-Fi, because that is the only way that we're going to be able to keep hiring like voice actors or storyboard artists or anything else related to whatever I decide to do with the channel. So once again, if you want to support the Patreon or the Ko-Fi, links to both of them are down in the description for you to check them out. Now, let's properly discuss what I have planned for this channel. Obviously, we're going to continue with the Life of an Inkling. I don't think that's going to be going away anytime soon. So let's just run down a quick list of things that are related to that. As I mentioned with Ko-Fi, there's going to be a video discussing voice actor auditions at a later date. But obviously, we still need to finish Chapter 2 as well. Not only that, but I want to remaster the opening sequence. And to be perfectly honest, it's also been something that I've been meaning to do for quite a while. I'm proud of what I did with the original opening, but compared to what I'm able to do nowadays, it just does not stack up. I want things to look as consistent as they possibly can right now, while still being something pleasant to look at later down the road. So when all is said and done, the voice actor auditions have been handled and that whole thing is taken care of, we will begin work on Chapter 3. So you can actually expect Chapter 3 to be fully voiced. We might end up going back to Chapter 1 DX and Chapter 2 to make it more consistent. As of right now, their plan is to finish Chapter 2, redo the opening sequence, hold the voice actor auditions, and then when all that's done, we start Chapter 3. And I know I've said it multiple times over, but you have no idea what we have in store for the future of the series. I really, genuinely hope that you all are still looking forward to it. But that's not the only thing that I'm going to be doing for the channel. On top of working on the bigger project like the Life of an Inkling, I want to give you all shorter animations. You know, just something extra in between the bigger stuff. And these could range from like a variety of different things. They could just be random shorts that I come up with on a whim. It could be a meme trend that's going on right now. It really could just amount to anything. And I've already got a couple ideas related to this in mind, and definitely more in the future. So I hope you all look forward to those as well. But I'm also going to experiment with YouTube Shorts as well. So if there's a double upload and there's a standard video and a short that kind of have similar names, that's probably going to be the reason. Regardless of the matter, I hope you all look forward to those shorter animations. But that's not all I want to do in between the bigger projects. I also want to take a crack at the video essay format again. As I've said before, there are a bunch of topics and a bunch of things that I am passionate about that I would love to relay to you all. And I feel like with that first go around, while the execution was alright, it also could have been a lot better. That, and it was the first time that I was using a different software other than Premiere Pro, so that might have been why. But still, it's at least something I want to experiment with again. In terms of what I'll be talking about in these, you can expect quite a range of stuff. Arts, animation, anime, games, movies, whatever comes to mind. And there's still one final form of content that I will still be doing for the channel. I will still be doing the weekly streams at 1:30 p.m. PST, but there will be a slight catch. Instead of it just purely being animation streams, I'm going to open it up a bit. You can still expect the animation streams to happen, but you can also expect other types of streams to happen as well. The other types of streams that you can look forward to are general art streams, as well as gaming streams. So the art streams are probably going to be either animation or me drawing. Really sort of depends on what we'll be doing that day. Heck, it could just be SFM poster art for a day. As far as the gaming related streams go, you can expect single player playthroughs, multiplayer stuff, community involvement or not, just a large variety of things. But the main reason why I decided to go for this approach for streaming was to better help my mental health. There were a couple of times last year when I would stream animation and I was just completely out of it. And it might have been obvious to some of you, it might not have been, but there really were some of those days where I just could not focus on working and also interacting with you guys at the same time. So to better help with that, I am now giving myself a little more freedom with the streaming. So that way, if there is a particular day where I am just not having it, we can just axe the animation or the artwork or whatever we planned on doing that day and just sit back, chill, play a game, and not have to worry about anything. Or even if I don't feel like animating that day and I originally wanted to, and I just simply wanted to play a game instead, we can just change it up. I wanted to make the streaming more flexible for myself so that way I'm not stressing about everything else that I need to do. But I hope you all understand where I'm coming from, but I also hope you look forward to this new approach with streaming. Well, with that, that's going to wrap it up for this update video. I want to thank you all so much for continuing to support the channel in any way possible, liking the video, subscribing, just simply watching a video. If you supported the Patreon or the Ko-Fi, anything at all, watch the streams, it genuinely means a lot. And I hope that you continue to look forward to the new content that I will be providing for the channel this year and even in the future moving forward. So don't forget to check the socials, the Patreon, Ko-Fi, all of that good stuff. With all of that said, I've been Nicholas Clay of Clay Entertainment. Remember everybody, take it easy. I'll see you in the next video.